One of the biggest challenges for app developers is gaining enough meaningful data for functional testing or to stress test their apps at scale. Using production data is out of the question because of the impact on operational workloads, as well as to security. So sample data is required. In this demo, I'll show you how to leverage the incredible speed and scale of Couchbase Capella in combination with the eventing service to generate huge volumes of realistic, rich sample data in just a few minutes. We'll begin in the Database Settings tab of Capella, where I have an empty database called Capella Eventing. It has no buckets and no data. We are starting completely from scratch. First, we'll need to create 4 buckets, which our eventing functions will use to generate the sample data. The buckets are Start. The corresponding Start function looks for changes in this bucket, which kicks off the data generation process. Gen. This bucket is a temporary holding place for the initial set of documents generated by the function. Meta. This bucket is required for all eventing functions to store processing metadata. And Data. This bucket will be where the primary data generation happens, so let's give it lots of memory, 100,000 megabytes. Now let's create our eventing functions. Eventing is an amazing feature in Capella that allows you to call JavaScript functions, which are triggered by changes in the data. Eventing is typically used to perform mutations on data or kick off things like alerts when certain types of data changes occur. We will use this powerful feature to create our sample data. There are 2 functions in the exercise. I'll import the first function called Start. This function looks for changes in the corresponding bucket called Start. When a new document is created in the Start bucket, the function runs and starts generating initial data in the Gen folder based on a data value called count in the document. Let's import the function, then deploy it. Next, we'll import the second function called Gen. This function generates complex and realistic JSON document data. As soon as initial documents land in the Gen bucket, the Gen function detects them, which kicks off another loop to generate the final sample documents in the Data bucket, applying realistic airline industry values. Let's import and deploy the function. Overall, these 2 functions will generate any specified number of documents to the power of 2. Leveraging the in-memory speed and power of Capella to do so quickly by processing across all nodes in the cluster. Now let's start the data generation. I'll go to the Start bucket, which is currently empty. I'll create a simple document with no data and a random ID, then save it. This event triggers the Start function. With no count value specified, it will only create a single document in the Gen bucket, which then goes on to trigger the Gen function to create an airline document in the Data bucket. To confirm this, we can go to the Data bucket, where, sure enough, there is now a new document rich with airline data. The functions are working. Now we can leverage the immense performance of Capella to generate the rest of our sample data. And to make it meaningful for things like testing at scale, let's go for 100 million documents. In order to create this high volume of data quickly, we are using the following configurations for our database cluster, which we can see here. I created 6 nodes to run the Capella data service and 4 nodes to run the eventing service. This configuration should generate 100 million documents in under 5 minutes. Now let's harness the power of Capella and start generating 100 million documents of airline data. I'll modify my first simple doc in the Start bucket by adding a count value of 10,000. The eventing functions will pick up the value to generate a massive amount of data in the Data bucket. In this case, based on the count value of 10,000 in the starting document, the eventing functions will loop through to create 100 million documents. Now when we go to the data bucket, there are already many documents generated. And finally, we can go to the bucket browser to see the number of documents. At this point, only a few seconds in, we already have nearly 4 million documents in the data bucket. And in just under 3 minutes, we have 100 million new generated sample airline documents, plus the first one we created to test the function. The blazing speed of Capella's in-memory architecture and unique eventing service have made this exercise a breeze. This technique provides a fast way to generate meaningful data for functionality, scale, and performance testing of your applications. To try out generating data with Capella Eventing for yourself, get the instructions and JavaScript functions in this GitHub repo. Thanks for watching.